Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
Thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. Today, my guest is Eric Roul, and he is from France, but lives here in the Bay Area. And since I decided to do this Black Lives Matter series, I wanted to include Eric. Even though he's French, he articulates well in English and has a lot of intelligence to share with us. Eric, thank you for joining Conversations with Jennylyn.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Jenny, for having me on your platform. I'll be very happy to share a bit my experience here in the United States.
Well, I thought it would be nice to include you because even though you're French, you're Black. And I have actually had people who were surprised that Black people live in France.
I know. I get that a lot before. When they say, "Oh, you French? How is it possible?"
Right.
Yes.
So I thought I'd provide some evidence that France does have Black people.
Yeah. So I was born in Paris. Like in the 1960s. Both my parents were from Martinique. It's a French colony. In the island, the Caribbean. And I basically, live off my life in France. It's interesting because as we talk about Black Lives Matters, I never really felt racism personally when I was a kid until later when I was about 16, probably about 16, moving up in the education. And more I was going to a high level of education, there was less Black people. And I started to feel that I was a bit different, and people were treating me differently. So I started very quickly to learn that if I want to gain the respect from anybody else in the classroom as I was growing up, I have to be the best. And that's why I developed this work ethic to try to be the best in everything I do. It's amazing because that's what carried me all the way here to the United States, actually,
Well, and you do everything excellently.
I try.
I know of you.
I try. And it's funny as well because when I was about, I think in Paris, it's not like here. Here, you are like adult if it's 21. In France, it's 18. And at 18, you can go to clubs, you can drink, you can do all that stuff. And I remember one day trying to go to a nightclub in Paris, and then the bouncer at the door, he looked at me. I was with my best friend, and my best friend, by the way, is white and he's Jewish. And when I was trying to go to that club, the bouncer looked at me and said, no Black. And I look, what the hell? Why no Black? I say, we don't allow Black in the nightclub. And my response to him is, okay, so if you don't allow Black in your nightclub, please remove all the Black music. And then what are you going to have?
Did you say that to him?
Yeah. And my friend laughed. My Jewish friend, he laughed. It was so funny. And the guy didn't like it, but that was my response to him.
Was he white?
It was a white bouncer, yeah. And actually, after that, I get the explanation because unfortunately, there's some stereotype where in Paris at the time, Black people were creating problem in clubs. There was fighting, there was this, there was that. So there was like a justification behind the fact they didn't want to have Black people because they didn't want to have any problems, any fight in the club, which I understand.
And that's very sad, right?
That's sad, yeah.
Sometimes Black people make it bad for themselves because there's some of them that behave inappropriately. Yeah, and the rest of us get the punishment.
Yeah, no, that's definitely. So that's why I wanted to talk about is like racism is everywhere, right? It's everywhere. However, I think we need to make some distinction between United States and France because there's an enslaved country, that is United States, and there's enslaved colonial empire like British and like France, right? And then the main difference you have to remember, like France, there was kings at the time, right? But there was never slavery.
Really? They never had slaves in France?
No, I did
not know that.
In France, in the mainland France, it was forbidden by law. The only thing that close to slavery was called serfdom. It means that people were tied to a land, but not to a master. So it means that every subject of the king was serving the land, and most of them were white. right? Not black, white,
Wow.
because it was serving the king. So slavery was only allowed in the colonies, remote places like the Caribbean, Africa, different the continent. So different country in Africa, because like British, Spain, and France, they colonized a little bit everywhere in the world. And in those places, there was definitely slavery. But slavery at some point was when the French Revolution, actually we're close to Independence Day here, July 4th, and in French is July 14th. That is the French Revolution in 1789. And then the 1789, the first act that happened when they beheaded the king, the queen, is to free everybody. There was no more serfdom, no more slave in the colony. It's only later on when Napoleon Bonaparte came, he reinstated slavery in the colony. It's only when he lost the war in Waterloo against the British, the coalition against him that exiled him to Saint Helena, the island, then there was no more slavery. It was 1848 when there was no more slavery in the colony. But you have to remember, there was no slavery in France, in the mainland of France. That's the most important thing we need to know about history. And that's why it's important to know the history, because in America, it's totally different, right? It was, they took the Indians, genocide, no more Indian, and then the black people was enslaved country. And that's now part of the American DNA, the culture. And that's why it's very, very difficult. That's why it's ingrained, it's there, right? And I remember when I came here, like about 25 years ago now, I still get some, profiling. Even if I was dressed up with a tie, I was working in technology, the police still say, I get some couple situation where I was afraid for my own life, and I realized that, ooh, this is definitely a different ball game. In France, we don't have something like that.
As you were speaking, I was thinking a few days ago, I told someone that I feel part of the black racial problem in America is that there are some people who have not acknowledged the fact that we have abolished slavery. And even though slavery was abolished such a long time ago, in their minds, anybody with dark skin is still a slave.
Yeah, so yeah, slavery, I mean, yeah, it was maybe abolished, but people don't realize what makes the culture or the collective consciousness is the individual consciousness. So if some people didn't do their work in themselves, or the hate, that they have, this is still going to be portrayed because it's part of the culture that has been for over 400 years, part of your United States history. So if you don't do your homework, if you don't work on yourself to change, to elevate, to raise your level of consciousness individually, then you're not going to change the collective consciousness of United States.
That's true. But there are people who are very insecure, very angry, uneducated, lazy. And because of that, the way of elevating themselves is by saying, my skin is light, your skin is dark, I am more powerful than you. And this is what they project into society. So anytime they encounter a person whose skin is a different shade, a darker shade than theirs, then they a lot of times will exhibit some of this ignorance by saying, go back to your country, and things that people are reporting are happening to them because of their skin color. So that's unfortunate, but true.
Yeah, but what's funny though, it's like maybe for other race than the black, in France, because of the colony, when people were from the colonies, they came in France to work. There was opportunity for them to work. They came willingly. But in the United States, they was enslaved. I mean, they was forced to come here and work. Right. And so the difference now is like the new generation of black people, you cannot tell them, go back to your country, because they're descendant of slave people where United States is their country today.
Yes, but there are a lot of ignorant people who think if your skin is dark, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
If you were born here.
Yeah, but as black people, actually, we have to do our own part, because that's the thing I said to some of my friends, we don't want to be a victim here, right?
No.
We cannot be victim of the past. We have to do our own part. It means that we're the best of transcending our pain and suffering through the best human expression that is, it is art. And that's why we are the top of chart in music, in sport, in all the things that we can express our emotion, our feeling. We are the best in the world for that, right? So we need to keep doing that. We're moving the needle in the right direction. However, the problem is we don't own what we create. Unlike the Jewish people, the community of Jewish people, they own what they create. Us, we don't. We produce things, great stuff, but we don't write the check. We receive the check. And this is why we need to make the difference. We need to start to own what we create. That's what Spike Lee have been doing. That's what Eddie Murphy have been doing, and many more, being like empowering Black people to do their part and own stuff. So we need to be more like the Jewish community and more like the Chinese community. Why? Because instead of killing each other as Black community, we need to be more unified. What happened in Chinese people? They're so strong and so unified that they have their own Chinatown in any country in the world.
It's true.
But we don't. We kill each other. We have gangs, small pocket of people killing. We have like stars, like the Oprah Winfrey of the world, and you have the low class, the uneducated people, where they kill each other. So we need to come together and start owning our own economy, our own bank, and showing the world that's who we are. We're not only creative people, not only good in sport, but we all of the above. We need to do our part. We cannot stay and be victim here.
I know we have these little gatherings and we all make declarations in terms of what we need to change and what we need to do. How do you see this change occurring? And what suggestions do you have to throw out there to begin effecting this change that we all are looking for?
Yes, so already I think I was participating in peaceful protests. I did a few of them, and I want to because I live in Los Gatos, and I have a little story about Los Gatos, by the way. When I was in Los Gatos, what I've seen 5 girls, 5 teenagers creating that movement, that peaceful protest. That gave me the chill. Why? Because I saw, yes, that's the new generations taking the lead. That's the hope. The change is happening through the young blood. We didn't do our part. The youth is doing that. And I can see that's happening right now. I have my own son, Brandon. He just graduated 2 years before in college. Instead of 4 years, he did 2 years. He get 2 awards. And he did an excellent job in a LSCT test. It's the law school admission test. Out of 180, he get 176, so he can go to any law school because he wants to become a civil rights lawyer. That's what I'm talking about. That's where I think the hope's happening. Everybody, I need to do their part individually, and the youth is leading the way. That's fantastic for that. I know some people came to me and said, oh yeah, but you know what? Why the black, not all life matters? Because I told them, hey, if my spouse come to me in obvious pain and suffering and ask me, my husband, do you love me? My answer, if I say an answer, oh, I love everyone, that will be truthful, but that will be not appropriate and hurtful and cruel at the moment, right? And if somebody come to me say, you know what, my dad just passed away, and and I reply, yeah, every parent die. That would be truthful, but that would be hurtful, So if a friend come to me say, you know what, Black lives matters, and my response would be all lives matters. That would be truthful, but that would be hurtful and painful at the moment. So perspective is key here. There's no right, no wrong. It's a question of perspective and be able to put yourself in other people's shoes. And that's what a lot of people cannot do.
Right. I agree 100%. It's all about them.
Yeah. So just to answer as well your question. So yes, there's hope. For me, I see the new generation taking the lead of doing a lot of things, protesting, taking action, doing a lot of things, And then I think us as adults, we need to educate, ourselves, because between you and I, a lot of us, we don't know our history. First of all, to understand why we are here today, we have to understand our past, our history. If we don't want to repeat the history, we have to look at what do we do today to get a better future. And that's the key. The key is today. What do we do today to change our level of consciousness? We need to go read some books, documentaries, do your homework. And the problem as well, history, you have to be very careful because history was written by the conqueror. So history as well, there's a lot of lie in what we learn at school. So you have to do your homework. And that's everybody's business. Everybody needs to find the truth, you know, and this is why we can be aligned with our humanity.
You know? How do you see all of the protests changing the situation?
Yes, so unfortunately, there's a lot of things that people recuperate, like a small group recuperate from protests, like riot and do all the stuff to manipulate the mass and change basically the face of the protest. But hopefully, what I've seen is like the protest has been creating some, you see all the movements, some big corporation now say Black Lives Matters, Amazon, the CEO of Amazon, you know, replied to some customers that was like, hey, how come you do this, you do that? Say, if you're not happy, you can leave, and I don't mind. So there's a lot of corporations are behind this protest. It means that this kind of movement that is called the New Awakening, you know, is global. It's not, by the way, it's not only in the United States. You look at in France, when I saw the protests, there's some protests in Japan, where there's not a lot of Black people, but there was protests in Japan, in every country in the world, Australia, France, everywhere. People are more vocal. Those protests, though, I mean, we have to keep the momentum going. It has to be not something like a burst, and then we come back to normal. It has to be something where we can feed ourselves from. A platform where we can keep doing stuff, you know?
I think every person needs to look at another person and agree to disagree, that they're entitled to their views, they haven't chosen the color that they are, and their philosophy is their prerogative to choose. And I think if we could start there, if each of us say to ourselves, I am going to agree to disagree with this person who does not share my religious views, is not the same color skin as I am, does not like all the same things I like, does not share the same political views I share, we will have a better world. But the problem is everybody thinks they are, well, not everybody, but a lot of the people creating these problems believe they are superior because they may have lighter skin, but because they believe what they believe, because they practice whatever philosophy, you know, it's crazy. Like, why do we have the right to really judge anybody else? We don't know their journey.
Yeah, that's human nature to feel that we're superior to other people. If you remember Hitler, he creates the Aryan race, the la race aryenne, we say in French, right? When you have to be blonde, blue eyes, and you're superior to anybody. And one person during the Olympic game showed him differently. Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens, when he beat the German champion, flat out. Jesse Owens, black athlete. Show him that, you know what, you thought you're superior, but you're not, you know? So the problem, so it's been for centuries like this. And even it's human nature to feel that we're superior to that race or that person or whatever. So, and that's why I think the key is our heart. We need to, like you just said, have a conversation. We're in democracy. We're different. I don't have to agree with you to still be your friend, you know? You don't have to agree with me to be fine. Right? You don't want to be hypocrite as well. That's what politics is completely corrupted, because this is a lie from the beginning to the end. That's why I don't believe that any politician can fix our problem today.
Right.
Us,
I agree.
as individual.
Right. Because everybody is expecting something different from them.
Yeah.
You see those conversations on Facebook? I sometimes cringe. There are few group of people that are on my Facebook are complete bullies. The day you post something that they don't approve of, they literally attack you. I've had to say to some of them, this is my page. You don't like my views? Please feel free to exit. but I will express myself the way I want to on my page because that is my prerogative. And this is the problem. Look around the world at all the wars we're having. They're religious. They are to do with ethnicities. I mean, it's so crazy. And now we have a virus.
Yeah.
And this is who we should be warring against. He's an enemy of everyone, not each other.
Yeah. So, but like you said, you know, there's people who come on social platforms, social media, and attack other people because at the end of the day, you look at, are those people really happy? Because when you're a happy person, when you're centered, you align, you're happy, you're not like that.
Exactly.
You know, you take things, you provide your feedback in a positive manner and so forth, but you don't attack people. It means it's a reflection of some kind of frustration, of unhappiness, and you lash out something. It's like your anger, and you put, because you're not a happy person. And that's the problem of society, because a lot of people lost their job, because people are not with somebody, isolation, with the COVID, people don't find a partner in life. There's all that build up, and you don't realize that in your inconscience, that build up, and then you find an opportunity to something you don't agree. Oh my God, you get everything to that person. And sometimes what happened? And that's what it is, you know? So we need to work on ourselves as, like I said, as an individual, raise a level of consciousness, try to find a spot where you can find some peace, some happiness, and then we can start to converse. Because you cannot start a conversation when you're agitated. When you're emotionally out there, you can have a conversation, you can have a dialogue. It's going to be a monologue, right?
Exactly. Or a bullying session.
Yeah. So
and I do not subscribe or participate. If you're a bully and you're angry, I don't have anything to say to you.
No. And that's what we recommend to people who are really not emotionally stable, whatever. It's okay. Go cry, go yell somewhere, and then when you're ready, you come back.
Get a punching bag. That's it.
But some people are so too much into the social media world that they cannot extract themselves to, you know, to come back more stable, but they in it, and nothing good come out of it. Nothing good.
So you said earlier in this interview that when you were a young man, a young child growing up, you know, you were born in France and you never felt any type of discrimination. But as you got older, you started noticing it. Do you think it's because you were young and oblivious, or was it later introduced in your life, and why? Did you change the place you lived?
No, actually, that's interesting. I never really changed in France. I didn't really change places that much through my childhood. But I think it was more because when I was young, I was first of all, when I was young, I was in suburbs of Paris. It's called Bondy, and I was surrounded by Arabs, Chinese, black, white. There was like a very diverse, and we were all playing together. So I never saw that we are different. We're playing independently of where we're coming from. It's how we're starting to grow. I started to, you know, to move up, like I said. At school, I started to see less and less black. I was like, how come there's less people like me, right? And then I started to see people looking at me a different way, treating me a different way. And I was like, I couldn't really see it at some point where people say something bad to me, like nigger, stuff like that. And I was hurt. I was really hurt.
Somebody actually called you that?
Oh yeah, over there, yeah, of course, yeah. Sale noir. In French, it's sale noir. It's you know, that's an insult. And when you take it like this, I mean, it's when you're young, even if you're like 15, 16, 17, you know, you get hurt, right? But I always found a way, because my mom, fortunately, I have great parents that always teach us. She was very compassionate because she was a nurse, and she very early on taught us that love is always conquer against hate and everything else. But you have to find your own love within you to be able to go through it. Even that's why after, when people say I hate you, I say that's okay. I have enough love for yourself too. So, you know.
Great answer. So do you think your parents, because you said your parents are from Martinique?
Yes.
And do you know if your parents encountered any type of discrimination while living in France?
Actually, my mom told me that, because remember, they came from the French colony to a long, long time ago to France for work. And then if you have the skill set and everything, it was just fine. And everybody was loved my mom. And I never saw my mom complaining about racism. The only person that my dad was the only person who complained about a specific race, I would say, is like the Arabs. Because the Arab
Hey, watch out, I'm half Arab.
it's because actually the truth is like I would say every country or every country has their own tendency. It doesn't mean that everybody the same, but if you look the Arabic history, it's been about about a lot of wars. It's a country of war. So it's part of that, once again, of their DNA. So they have that in them. Fight, right? So every country has their own tendency. And that's the problem that my dad said, be careful with those people because they're like this, they're like that. So he was a bit judgmental. So I was kind of a bit afraid of that. But I have a friend that was from the Arabics and I have no problem. And there was those that was like a little bit like that, like he described. So at the end of the day, you have to navigate because nobody's perfect. You have, by the way, we talk about Black Lives Matter, but into Black communities, there's Black who are racist as well.
Of course.
Right?
So
So
it's
a lot of people,
everywhere.
so racism is all above. It's everywhere, in every pocket, social, like poor, social. You can be poor, rich, it doesn't matter, right? So, but yeah, I was lucky enough that my mom didn't encounter racism there, and my dad either. So just, say be careful with certain of your friend, because he saw some of my friends was Arabs, and he said be careful, don't trust them too much, or stuff like that. But it's way after that I realized that I have to watch out for myself and do the best of what I can do. And at school, I was trying to be as well the first in my class or the second, always aiming for the top.
So we're almost out of time, Eric, but I'm going to ask you this. And if I don't ask you this, then I haven't done my job. You grew up in France, and then
Yes.
you moved here to the United States. Clearly, you loved your younger life in France.
Yes.
How do you feel living in the United States in terms of your color?
Between you and I when I was 13 years old, to come to the United States was a dream. And now I'm living the dream. And actually, United States is definitely the land of all of opportunities. And even as a Black person, even if I had to work a bit harder than my peers, as white peers, I made it big here. I made it. I could have made it in France. So I thank America for that. And as a Black person, I will do my part to be a change agent and to help America to become great again.
Where's your red hat?
I don't have it. I don't need it. I have a red heart.
If we get mad to ask you.
Yes, but America, don't. I'm very fortunate that I just encountered maybe 2 encounters with the policemen was they were profiling me, and I was a bit afraid for my life at some point. But the way I was, because of my accent.
The police was profiling you where? In the US or in France?
Yeah, no, here in US, in Mountain View, and then when I was going to South San Francisco, because I was driving.
You don't care. You can't just throw that out there and leave it hanging. No dangling participants are going to be accepted in this interview. Elaborate. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, so one of the first things is when I was in Mountain View, I was in suit, and it was like about 11 o'clock at night. It was about 15 years ago. And then I stopped because I stopped on the side, turned off the engine. At the time I didn't have GPS. I was looking at the map, and I was looking where I should go because I didn't know this area. It was a long time ago. And then I locate the area. I'm like, okay, and I started my car. And then just I started the car and move, I see the flash of the light, and there was police just behind me, just pulled me over again. I'm like, what the hell happened? And I said, okay. And then I saw 2 cops coming down with their hand on their gun and with the megaphone talking, sir, put your hand on the wheel. I'm like, what the hell did I do? I just, anyway. And they was like coming at me with the hand on the gun.
Were you scared? Were you scared?
I was scared. Like, I'm like, oh my God, because here it's like, we shoot you and we talk later, right? And the guy say, hey, give me your papers. And I say, sir, I have my hand on the wheel. The papers is in the glove compartment. Can I move my hands? Because I don't want to be I don't want to be a statistics. And the guy say, yeah, let's do it. So I give him the paper. I say, okay, get out of the car. As soon as I get off of the car, he pushed me against the car, put my hand behind my back. I'm like, sir, what's going on? What did I do? I was like, what the? And then just after that, another police car came. I mean, I'm like, it was like a movie. I'm like, what the? They have the wrong guy. What the hell, right? So they said, we need to search your car. They make me sit down. Fortunately, after they make me sit down, and one of the cops came to me and started to talk to me, and my accent. He said, where are you from? And he started to try to pacify me, basically, right? To make me feel more comfortable. And the guy said, hey, we need to search your car. Can we search your car? I said, be my guest. I have nothing to hide. So they searched the car, blah, blah, blah.
What kind of car were you driving?
Like a small car at the time. It was like a loaner. I had a loaner. And then, but I was in suit and everything. And I say, what the hell happened? What you looking for? I say, oh, I tell you, sir, sorry, but we thought you were a smuggler, drugs. That color right here, at that night, they say, okay, he's doing drugs.
Plus you were wearing a suit.
But and that's what, I tell you, that's why Brian Stevenson, the lawyer in Just Mercy, the movie, and then in real life, he said, it doesn't matter your social status here. Even if you dress with a hood, I mean, you have more likely for a hood that's not very good for you. But if you have a hoodie, or if you were dressed up like me with the tie, with everything, a suit, and I'm a black guy in an area where you're not supposed to be, that's it. You're done. That's it.
And the second time you were profiled?
Yeah. Second time I was driving a BMW. I was going same thing. I was in suit because I'm in tech. I have my own consulting company at the time. And I was driving to a customer. I was going to be too fast, which I admitted. But so the cop stopped me. Say, okay, sir. I say, okay, you were driving at 80 miles an hour on the 65. I say, yes, sorry, sir. I'm late for my appointment, but that's okay. Please give me the ticket. I need to move on. I said, but is it your car? It's a nice car. I said, thank you. And I say, what are you doing for living? I say, I just told you I'm going to a customer. I'm in tech, right? And he asked me the question 3 times. Is it your car? Can I search your car? I said, no, you can't.
I should have laughed.
I said, no, you can't. I drove fast, fine. Give me the ticket, sir. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to take your badge. At that time, I was more assertive because he was like way after, right? And I said, we're gonna have your badge because now you're harassing me right now, right? I drove too fast, fine. Give me the ticket. I told you 3 times, this is my car. I give you the driver license. I give you the paper. Go to your computer. Stop asking me that question. What is it? Because I'm black, I cannot ride a BMW? Legitimate?
That's really sad.
Unbelievable. I was like, and I told the story to the customers. And I'm sorry, I get a bit late because I was going too fast. But here's what happened. They say, oh, you should have reported the guy because that's harassment right there. I say, yeah, but
Each time that this happened, did you ever have any black cops do this, or were they always white?
No, always white. Always white. Yeah, it's always white. Well, I can tell you, it's they have maybe some stats that they run, they have to have. I don't know, It's not, tell you the truth, it's not by accident as well that thing like that happened, unfortunately, and then we can see that. But that's the thing that needs to be changed. They talk about to the training for the police. It's nothing with the training. Reform the police, yeah, maybe. But the thing is, we need to reform ourselves. Human revolution. We have to reform our heart. As a policeman, as a black, as a white, as a Chinese, whatever. Whatever function we have in life, we need to do that reform.
Eric, did you ever have an experience like that in France?
Never.
Do you have any black friends that had anything like that happen to them in France?
No.
Do you agree that we need to abolish the police force?
No, I don't think we need to abolish the police force because otherwise it's going to be the chaos. It's going to be the anarchy. I think, you have to understand, I think there's more good cops than bad cops. I think there's more good doctors than bad doctors. But I think there's more bad politicians than good politicians. And that's where the problem is.
Somehow people think if you're a politician, question mark. But I don't agree with that. Just like you, I believe they're good and bad. I think good and bad is everywhere. I think those two forces are prevalent in every form of life. And I just always choose to be on the good side. I always choose to live in the light. I'm very uncomfortable around dark, so I don't behave dark. And I think if more people felt uncomfortable dealing with dark, we would have a brighter world.
Yeah, but for that, everybody need to raise the level of consciousness. What you talk about, because you're already there, you're at a certain level of consciousness, of empathy, of humanity that you develop, and it's reflected in what you do. A lot of people, unfortunately, they're not there yet.
They're
So we have to help them.
in dark, and they spend their days participating in darkness. I don't understand it, Eric, but I do understand that the yin and the yang is what keeps the world going. So
yeah, but hopefully there's more light than darkness.
I'm hoping so too, but I do know one thing: no dark can put out light. So that is the one redeeming factor that keeps me going. What do you want to leave with my viewers before we wrap this segment up?
Yeah, thanks. So I will ask kindly to all my brothers and sisters, like white, black, yellow, red, you name it, to educate yourself. Like I said earlier, you have to look in the past to understand our present and to create a better future. But for that, you have to deep dive into the past, into the history. So educate yourself, look at books, documentaries, whatever, to understand where everybody's coming from. And then we'll be able to have some kind of clue and raise your level of consciousness to help the collective consciousness to move in the right direction. This is the way we're going to be able to change the world. Everybody needs to do their part, each of us.
And if you poke any of us with a pin or cut us with a knife, you will see the same color blood.
Exactly. That's it.
Eric, thank you so much. I really enjoyed listening to your views and all of your stories. And I am really hoping that something you shared with me in this segment will help someone.
I hope so. I hope so. Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired, and I'm hoping that and trusting that you've gathered some inspiration from Eric. And I will see you soon.